So back from the break, we have a studio link to, and this time not Gothenburg, but we are in Stockholm, and we have on the line Erik Matsgård, CMO at Aditro. Hi, Erik.
Hi, good morning. Great to be here.
You're just out of the management meeting. Did it go well?
It went well, but I had to step out. We had Corona discussions in the morning, and of course now no Swedes are allowed in Finland at all unless you're a doctor. So that was on the discussion. But we're doing fine actually. The Corona times has been pretty okay still with us. People still need to get their paychecks.
Hey, Erik, good to have you with us here today. So how have Aditro performed during the Corona crisis? Are people really thinking about new HR solutions these days?
We've seen some slowdown in especially implementation consulting, but overall, I think if we look back at our results for this year, it's been pretty okay. And yes, people are still thinking about how to modernize their payroll and HR system. So I think this is an ongoing trend that's been going on for many years. So we're really seeing that this is something that our customers want to talk about.
Yeah. Hey, Erik, before I sort of let you go to your own presentation, a couple of more questions. So you talk about investment in sort of in the system, but how important is technology in HR? Because we've been talking here about people business as well. You have technology and you have people anyway at the core of everything. So how do you see this?
Yeah, I think this is basically when you think about systems, any systems in a company, it's very seldom just about the systems and the technology. It's about the combination of the system, the business processes you have, and definitely the people. And all of that together, that's where you drive your change. And unless those fit together, it's going to be really tough to get any value out of it. So technology is definitely not the only thing. It is important that you have something that really supports what you want to do, but unless you get everybody involved and really that's that. And last year I actually spoke about that, the pitfalls of HR implementations, and one of the key things were that you need to find those ambassadors and those who wants to drive the change. So that's absolutely equally important.
Yeah, thanks. Good point. Hey, last question, Erik. Why do you see a need to help HR and payroll professionals create business cases for investments?
Yeah, I think HR and payroll people are really good at many things. But one thing that they're maybe not so good at is internally in the companies to really sell their message and their reason for sort of being at the top item on the management agenda. And I think that they need help to really describe and explain for their colleagues why this is an important area to invest in. And I think that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to show you a little bit on how we can actually help and make that business case. Because if you put a number on it, then actually you will get management attention and hopefully you will get the resources and fund you need to sort of develop your HR solutions or your payroll solutions.
Erik, tack så mycket till Stockholm. Super. How to create a business case for HR and payroll solutions. It's all yours for the next 12 minutes, so fire away.
So, business case for HR and payroll. Let's talk about this. And as I said before, this is really a way to try to help all of you professionals out there that I know are really every day struggling to get funds and investments into the HR and payroll space. And when I joined this industry 4 years ago, I realized that it seems like the HR and payroll questions are always line 8 on the management agenda. There's always something ahead of you. And I wonder why that was. And what I realized when I started meeting people out in the industry was that actually one of the problems is that it's really hard for companies to find what are the value drivers. So what we did was that we took out 6 value drivers that we thought were really interesting, and we started digging down to them. And then we took out 2 of them and say, what if we could actually put a number to these value drivers if you invest in new HR and payroll? And the first one is really the one we're going to talk more about today, because here we set out to see if we could really find how you could use the resources in your organization in a better way. Because everybody knows that cost is quite easy to discuss, but the benefit is really difficult. And that's why we said that if we could define how much time and money you would save, how you could have your managers and your employee and your HR department really work with something less non-productive work and instead move them into productive work the way they are, the reason they are there, then that would really, really strong value driver. So that's what we set out to do. The second thing, and I think all of you that are talking and looking out in the market for is that we are moving from on-premise solutions to cloud solutions. Everybody's talking about the cloud, and I guess you've been hearing a lot about that today. And of course, how can we actually decrease our cost on our total cost? Not maybe just for IT, but also if we get something modern in place, we will probably improve our processes and save time and save cost. And that would be, so those were the 2 main things that we decided, okay, let's try to see if we can do a business case around that. Then we added these other 4, and I don't, in this short presentation, I really can't go through and discuss all of them. But there are, of course, other things that are sometimes very difficult to measure, but equally important. But in the business case, we decided to focus on the 2 ones on the left, improved resource utilization, and how can we lower the total cost of ownership. Then the way we did the business case was that we just said to this, okay, why don't we let clients themselves, discuss on where do we have our pains? So we defined 11 areas, and we said, okay, is this an area which is unbearable, the situation we have right now? Is it moderate pains, or is it no pain? And that would also mean that we could discuss together with you, okay, those areas where it's unbearable, that's where you have your largest potential to improve. That is probably the areas for HR that you should focus on. So that's what we did. So we went in and discussed that. And what today we don't have time, but if you follow on to the roundtable, we will go in a little bit more detail and discuss about this. But I'll show you the 11 areas that we discussed. And these were areas where when you work with us and do this business case, you will be able to go through and rate yourself where you are today and where you want to go. So that's a classical thing when you do sort of analysis of a situation. You do as is, where are we today? To be, where do we want to be? And sort of the journey towards that state is what we're doing. So we're looking at these 4, which are really close to payroll. So it's time reporting, expense handling, employee administration, and sick leave and rehabilitation. Those are really important areas where you have a lot of value drivers if you improve in those. The other thing is, I think a lot of you are about finding talent, and it's about when talent get into the company, how do we onboard them and get them productive quickly? And the other 3 ones are around salary review and compensation and benefits, which is a big area for all of us. And then we have the strategic HR parts around performance management, learning, competence, which are also areas where some companies have challenges, not all. So that's also the thing. If you are a company that really don't have a pain there, then that's not a problem. Maybe that's not where you need to invest. And finally, everything around GDPR, how to keep your data ready and all of that, together with how do we measure and track performance in terms of HR metrics. So all of those things are part of the HR business case. And when you go through them, we decided, okay, how do we now build a business case? And I'm going to show you quickly on how that is done. So this is Adito's approach to building a business case for HR. Basically, what we do is we go through these 11 areas that we saw, we rate them, and we talk about, we have assumptions on, okay, if you go from 3 to 10, or from 4 to 10, or 1 to 10, you can improve in these areas by freeing up time from your managers, your employees, and your HR specialists. You can remove manual work, get digital workflows, and have support for all of those processes. We add those improvements up. We take away the cost that you already have today. We take away the costs that it will cost you to have the running cost of a new solution. And then, of course, we need to look at the implementation. So the implementation, both what you have to pay for an HR consultant to help you implement it, but also the time actually that it will take for you to invest. Because as you know, doing this will really be very costly for you as an organization, because you need to spend time in order to make this, as we spoke about before. I mean, there needs to be people in this HR project in order for it to be successful. What we get are the total savings, but it's typically not savings, but it's because if you implement something new in HR, it's probably not that you're going to reduce your workforce, but you will free up, or we call it, but unlock potential. So rather than working in these administration processes for all of these different work categories, you actually free up that time that can be used productively in other parts of the organization. And we actually put a number on this. And that number is how we build up the business case. The payroll business case is slightly different. Actually, I would say that the payroll business case is typically a little bit more easy to actually write down and get the number. And the reason for that is that you take all your current costs for your process, and that's the challenge, because you need to take out all the costs you have, the IT people, the payroll clerks, the payroll managers, all consulting you might have, everything around that solution. And we look at that, and then we look at, okay, what would be a best practice solution? Either an outsourcing solution where you actually have someone else run your payroll department, or you have it in-house, but you have more modern tools to help you deliver that process. And then you, of course, there's an investment. You need to change it. You need to work with the consultants, the same thing. And that typically comes up with a saving, actually, because you look at that and you say, okay, if we do it in this new way, we will actually have less people working in the system, there are fewer errors, more automation, and all of those things. And that would be, so together that. Then we put them together. And what I want to do, again, since we have a short time in this session, it's really difficult to get into all the details. But basically, in the roundtable later on, if you want to, we can look at the onboarding benefits, where we sort of calculate that. We put everything in a business case calculator. It's a web-based tool that we have. And we have an interview with you. We go through everything, your situation and everything. And the calculator actually calculates a business case report, which is an 8-page document where we have actually quantified for HR and for payroll the different areas. What are your current costs? What are your future costs? What's our typical saving? Which will give you sort of a high-level view of this situation. And if you join us in the roundtable later on, we will actually go through an example of a Nordic customer that we made a business case for, so you can get the number. But and of course, the number is sometimes not maybe the most important thing. It could be different. So roundtable later on, if you want to sign up. Also possible to go to our website, and there you can discuss things around, and you can actually book a meeting with Sonia here. So this is, my Finnish is not that good, but I understand what it says. Go here and book a meeting, and together with Sonia, and I'll be also joining in. We will actually work with you and do a business case for your organization. So it's like a free consulting that we can offer you later on if you want to. Okay. Also, if you want to, you can download an ebook and read more about this later on. It's all on, if you're interested, on the Dito website. So you will find all the information. That was a short view of how to build a business case and how to do that. And happy to answer any questions or to join you if there's more. So, Helsinki. That was all from the presentation in Stockholm. Over and back to you.
Tack, Erik. Thank you, Erik. We are back here in our green room. As you can see, it's very green. The pillows and everything is green. It's fresh and brings, to mind spring, which is, just around the corner, hopefully. Hey, we have with us in the green room Ossi Lauronen, Sales Director, Aditro, as well. I just asked Ossi whether, Erik and Ossi work closer together, but Ossi, you only started in the summer, and because of COVID, you haven't actually met physically, but sort of.
We've been discussing many times, but not physically yet. So it's a shame, but we'll get there.
Yeah, absolutely, we'll get there. And as one commercial says, soon we will hug again. That's important to keep in mind. Hey, Ossi. Listening to Erik, it seems that most companies would really benefit from investing in sort of new HR and payroll solutions. Why do you think that companies choose not to invest? What are the main hurdles? Are they psychological, or are they, concrete elements?
Yeah, I think there is a clear division between companies, because some are quite willing to invest, some not so much. And for me, I think it's all about HR positioning in the company. So if HR is considered as a support function and a cost, it's quite hard to drive an investment. But if HR is kind of thought like it's a strategic partner for top management and creating strategic competencies, it's another story then.
I so know where you're coming from. Same thing with communications.
Yeah.
Do you see it as a strategic, integrated part of the whole thing, or just sort of a tool to help others with? Yeah,
for sure. But in any case, of course, whether it's a support function or a partner, it's all about adding value, of course. Yeah. When making investment decisions, it's all about adding value and being able to show where the value comes from.
Yeah. So and at the end of the day, it's a question of attitude and a matter of attitude.
Sure. Yeah.
Hey, I've understood that you worked a lot with HR digital solutions in the past before you came to Aditro. Based on your experience, what's the main value driver or reason for Nordic companies to invest in new HR systems?
For me, it's quite clear. It's all about efficiency. Okay. It's all about managing workforce and, cutting hours for HR routines.
So it's a no-brainer?
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. It's kind of being more efficient when it comes to HR professionals, supervisors, employees, and all that. However, it could be more about unlocking the potential and, adding value to the company through HR. But for now, I think the efficiency, that's the main driver.
Ossi, excellent stuff. One more question. If you could give all the HR directors one piece of advice, only one piece of advice, on how they should convince their CEOs to invest in a new HR and payroll solution. So what would that advice be?
Well, so I think human capital, that's the most important asset the companies have. So human capital management is the key. Making the CEOs understand that point and proving it with figures, because many CEOs are good with figures. So building a business case, giving some reasonable figures to back it up, and then adding value for the human capital management, that's the key.
And thank you, Ossi. Back to people business again. We were talking about so much earlier this morning. Ossi Lauronen, Sales Director, Aditro. Thank you very much.
Thank you.